am Mrs. Visalachi, working as a social teacher in Trinity Matriculation High Secondary School, Namakkal. Now we are going to discuss 6th Standard Geography, Unit 3, Understanding Disaster. This lesson explains about the various natural disasters and man-made disasters. It also deals with the precautionary and migration measures taken to avoid the loss of lives and materials. Disaster is a very common phenomenon in the human society. It has been experienced by people since time immemorial. Through its form may be varied. It has been a challenge for society. The latest development, which has been discovered in the World Disaster Reports recently, is that the disasters have increased in frequency and intensity. India is one of the most disaster-prone countries in the world. It has some of the world's most severe drought, famines, cyclones, earthquakes, chemical disasters, rail accidents, and road accidents. The high density of population in the developing countries, especially in the high-risk coastal areas, resulted in millions of people getting affected by natural disasters, especially in recurring disasters like floods, cyclones, storms, floods, etc. Disaster. A disaster is a serious distraction of a functioning of a society involving human and material loss. Disaster is broadly classified into natural and man-made disasters. Natural disaster: earthquake, volcanoes, tsunami, cyclone, floods, landslide, avalanches, thunder and lightning. Earthquake: the sudden shaking of the earth at a place for a short spell of time is called an earthquake. The duration of the earthquake may be few seconds to some minutes. The point where an earthquake originates is colored as focus. The vertical point at the surface from the focus is called epicenter. Volcanoes. Volcanoes are open or vent where lava, small rock and stream erect onto the earth's surface. Tsunami. Tsunami are waves generated by earthquake, volcanic eruptions and underwater landslides. Cyclones. A low pressure area which is encircled by high pressure wind is called a cyclone. Floods. An overflow of a large amount of water beyond its normal limits, especially on the rain area, is called the flood. Landslide. The movement of the mass of rocks, soil and etc. downslope is called a landslide. Avalanches. A large amount of ice, snow and a rock falling quickly down the side of the mountain is called an avalanche. Thunder and lightning. Thunder is a series of sudden electrical discharge resulting from atmosphere conditions. This discharge results in sudden flashes of light and trembling sound waves, which are commonly known as thunder and lightning. Fire, destruction of buildings, accidents in industries, accidents in transport, terrorism, trampled. Fire. Massive forest fire may start in hot and dry weather as a result of lightning and human carelessness or from other casual factors. Distinctions of buildings. Demolition of buildings by human activities. Accident in industries. Chemical, biological accidents that occur due to human error. Accident in transport. Violation of road rules, carelessness cause accidents. Terrorism. The social unrest or difference in principles leads to terrorism. Stampede. The term stampede is a sudden rush or crowd of people, usually resulting in injuries and death for suffocation and trampling. Tsunami and floods. A killer tsunami hit the Southeast Asian countries on the 26th of December 2004. A massive earthquake with a magnitude of 9.1, 9.3 in the Richter scale, epicenter in the Indonesia island of Sumatra. It triggered one of the biggest tsunamis the world had ever witnessed. The massive waves, measuring up to 30 meters, that killed more than 2 lakhs people of Asia. In India, over 10,000 people were killed by this disaster. Tamil Nadu alone account for 1,705 deaths. All the coastal districts were affected. Nagapattinam was the worst hit in the state of Tamil Nadu. Fishermen, tourists, morning walkers, children playing beach, and people living on the coast were unprepared for the waves. So they lost their life, and the most of the loss of lives and damage to property was within 500 meters of the shore. After that, the Indian government set up the tsunami early warning system at Indian National Center for Ocean Information Service, Hyderabad in 2007. Tsunami do's and do nots. You should find out if your home, school, etc. are in valuable areas along seashore. Know the height of your street above sea level. Plan evacuation routes and practice your evacuation routes. Discuss tsunami with your family. Review safety and preparedness measures with your family. If you see the sea water receding, you must immediately leave the beach and go to higher ground far away from the beach. Don't go to the coast to watch the tsunami. Don't try to surf the tsunami waves. Be aware fact about tsunami. Floods. Floods are high stream flow which overlap natural or artificial banks of a river or a stream and are markedly higher than the usual flow as well as indigenous of lowland types of floods. Flash floods, such floods that occur within 6 hours during heavy rainfall. River floods, such floods are caused by precipitations over large catchment areas or by melting of snows or sometimes both. Coastal floods. Sometimes floods are associated with the cycling high tide and high tsunami. Cost of floods, torrential rainfall, encroachment of river banks, excessive rainfall in catchment, inefficient engineering design in the construction of embankment, dams, and canals. Effects of floods, destruction of a drainage system, water pollution, soil erosion, stagnation of water, loss of agricultural land and cattle, loss of life and spread of contagious disease. Do's. To find out the settlement area is to be affected by flood or not, keeping a radio, torch and additional batteries, storing drinking water, dry food items, salt and sugar, safeguarding materials like kerosene, candle, matchbox, cloths and valuable things. Keep umbrella and bamboo poles, keeping first aid box and storing ropes to bind things, to dig canal from the farmland, to drain the excessive water, keeping sandbags, etc. Don'ts. Try to connect electricity once it is cut. Operate vehicles, swim against floods, avoid going on excursions, neglect flood warning messages. During floods, cut off gas connection and electricity, keep sandbags on drainage holes and bathroom holes. Leave immediately through the known passenger or prescribed passage. Drink hot water. Use bleaching powder to keep your environment hygienic. Before using matchsticks and candles, ensure that there is no gas leakage. Don't eat more foods when you are affected by diarrhea. Don't try to take anything that floods in flood. Disaster risk reduction, the practice of reducing disaster risk through systematic efforts to analyze and manage the causal factors of disasters. There are 4 key approaches of public awareness for disaster risk reduction. Campaign, participatory learning, informational education, and formal school basic interventions. Forecasting and early warning, weather forecasting, tsunami early warning system, cyclone forecasting and warning provide necessary information which help in reducing risk during disaster. School disaster management committee, village disaster management committee, state and central government institutions take migration measures together during disaster. Newspaper, radio, television and social media bring updated information and give alert on the vulnerable area, risk preparatory measures and relief measures including medicine. Okay, now this lesson we are discussed about the meaning of disaster and the types of disaster and how the disaster management and originate in the words using in media, tsunami and flood, about emergency operation centers, etc. Thank you.